the blueprint of success. The blueprint of success says you get your own house. You go to college, you work for somebody, you get a quote unquote good job because now you have a quote unquote degree, right? You start your own family. Don't worry about us, baby. We fine. Just go about your own life. That's propaganda. That's indoctrination. So it's going to take time to break that. Because if you can control the mind of a generation, you don't have to waste, physical, you don't have to exert yourself physically to make noise. If I can convince not only you, but your offspring, right?
Yeah.
That this is the road of success. So propaganda is massive. That's huge. We can't understate that. So it's not so, in my opinion, so simplistic as, okay, supporting, restaurants, soul food restaurants, X, Y, and Z. We're talking about systems, structures, power.
Okay.
Look, in New Orleans, before commercialism took over Bourbon and Basin Street pretty much non-functional now. But Basin Street used to be where you got cleaned up right before you hit Bourbon Street. But before commercialism came in, you had to have the majority of the wards, Big Mama, sign off before somebody would sell you a piece of property. So you had to go to each ward, you had to have a sit down with their Big Mama. They took that power away from the Big Mamas and commercialized it because they terrorized the original business owners out of their businesses and let it close down and then reopened it, rebranded under some colonial control measure. The people in New Orleans don't even hardly go to Bourbon Street no more. But all of the visitors and the tourists go to New Orleans, their first place they want to go is Bourbon Street.
I agree with everything that both of y'all said. It's just that I want us to pay attention. So with everything that's even being said tonight, we see the importance of having our own businesses and catch it before it's too late. So our kids can have something of their own. I can remember when we had laundromat, everything. Now it's like we don't have nothing, and it's like I said, I know we were trained at a time to do this and that. But the way I'm looking at it, it's like we're losing everything. We're allowing it to happen.
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Gonna make us join back to our communities and rebuild on our own again. After they get done looting the grocery stores, and ain't gonna be no more grocery stores. You're gonna have a family farm because this was gonna be the law of the land. It's the law of the land anyway. Every family had to be tied to a family farm, and then you have to know how to process your own food, canning. The women gonna have to learn, and men too, gonna have to learn how to can, how to smoke meat, how to save fresh vegetables for as longest period of time. We gonna get most of that information. We gonna get it from the Irish. And then we're going to turn around and have to be, even with this high tech, a lot of those grocery stores not going to be reopened because that zoning will be removed from them. You won't be able to own no mega grocery store. The food going to have to be required to come from the farm to the house. And the reason it's going to be like that is to eliminate the processing factories from putting toxic poisons in the food using names that you can't even pronounce. And when you look them up, they have nothing to do with food. And so it's going to play out similar to this. It's either going to be weather disasters that's going to have massive states of emergency called where we need the National Guard to search flood waters for drowning victims. It's too much stretch for the regular civilian population to handle without the aid of a massive force like the military. Once the National Guard get established, people gonna see them coming in and gonna panic and say, "Oh, it's the end of the world," and they gonna crash the grocery stores, the pharmacies, and all that. Your 7-Eleven, your the Arab store around the corner, the Chinese hair market. Sisters gonna be running out there with bundles talking about I'm gonna be getting it in during this shutdown. But what that's gonna do is it's gonna close a lot of those businesses so they don't have to open back up. Now we have to do business with ourselves. Now we have to restructure our family. We have to make amends to some of the family members we don't get along with, right? And we're going to have to clean our own family up. Everybody know who in the family did the dirt. They whisper about it over the kids' head like we too stupid to know what's going on. But the same way they whispering about the people in the family they need to clean up, only now they going to be obligated to not keep it from the good men that's required to correct the bad men and get the fuck out the way and let us do our work. Sometimes the family is the best people to clean up family. And you start in-house, you clean up the house, and by the time you get to the streets, you with your neighbors that's done the same thing. Now it's time to get rid of the police. Because we're ready to take back charge of our community. So we need a network with a reach into our community, right? Blood vessels, so to speak, that's going to lead back to the heart. And the only functional structure for us that we trust is the FOI. They respect it in every community we have, even if you don't agree with the doctrine. You appreciate their presence because you know ain't nobody around there about to be on the shenanigans while the FOI on the case. And I'm not a member of the nation.
Roger,
Then from there, that's when we start connecting what they call gangs. Those are tribes. So now the tribes, the government know who everybody is without they get your name. Once they got your name and your fingerprint, you in the database, they know which chief you is, which chief you were. They know what your job is, and they're going to try to interfere with you doing it as much as possible. But they know who we are. When the right one come with the right keys to open up all the gates, that's when they're going to set the captives free.
All right, Sharice, I know you said you had one more. Oh, sorry, Rod. I didn't know you were. My bad.
I just said that's how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I just got one more. Then I'm gonna go ahead and try to make some room for somebody else who might want to come up and ask Chief a question. But how do you feel about so-called Black people's place in politics, like how we carry politics, and do you think that us being participants in politics altogether is a detriment to what has to take place or the type of change that needs to take shape within our respective communities and spaces?
Everything in our community started at the grassroots level. All of the remedies to our problem start with healing the ones at the grassroots level. Politics is all about controlling finances and manipulating people. It don't got nothing else to do with nothing. The ones of us that get into politics is looking for a way to either assist their people or financially rise above the suffering that they couldn't stand when they was at the bottom. Very few politicians are in it from what you call a sincere place. Most of them is in it for some kind of power grab in some form or another. And the ultimate power grab in American politics would be the office of Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, because now you're in charge of all of the military. And if you use them appropriately, you can use them domestically to fight domestic enemies. right? But you got to remember, we make up a big old population of military. Then you got to know what's going on with the white hats. Those are the generals that discovered the fraud, that banded together, many of them after retirement, in order to continue to resist the takeover that was taking place on the land. So the tribes got to get it all back, but somebody got to enforce the return, right? And most people in the political arena, they either trying to be nosy and figure out if they can do something about it, or they trying to change their socioeconomic position and look like they got some kind of power. Do that answer your question, sweetie?
Yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, y'all. And I hope y'all have a great night. I'm gonna drop down, but it's always good to have the brother Rod Hayes, and it's good to see the sisters, of course, back doing their thing. And everybody have a great night. Thank you.
But I didn't get it out. But do you remember when we was allowed to plant marijuana in the backyard? Do you remember that?
I don't know if we was allowed. We did it anyway.
I just know we had it growing in our backyard when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
I don't know. The laws on marijuana is federal. They go all the way back to the early 1900s when they found out during the spiritualist movement that the up and coming chiefs smoked marijuana to connect to their ancestral memories. When they found that out, they villainized it, and then DuPont was trying to get rid of the hemp industry because the original denim was made out of hemp. We switched over to cotton when they started to suppress the hemp. The hemp was then replaced with the plastics of DuPont Industries, polyurethane and stuff like that. So they had a campaign to make marijuana illegal because marijuana has been a tribal herb for so long that if a chief smoked for the first time, he automatically lines up with all of the chiefs that ever smoked. And they can transfer information through him depending on what his skill set is. So this is what made them make it illegal. Now, even though they made it illegal, we ain't stopped using marijuana. We ain't stopped growing marijuana. So for somebody like me and your age, Sister Freedom, we would think that the way that we seen it growing in the backyard, that we had the green light.
Yeah.
But we didn't have no green light. We had the dilly gap light. It looked like I give a fuck. You know, that's the dilly gap light. We didn't care nothing about what they were talking about. They was right out there with the tomatoes and the snap pea.
Mm-hmm. Right out there.
But you got to remember, we was also still using it to make medicines and tinctures. Right? Either one of your aunties, uncles, or grandmama would go out there and harvest it. They would simmer it down, extract the oils from it. They would make tinctures out of the tea. Then they dry the leaves out, and then they crush the leaves up and make low intensity marijuana for using it to treat babies. They go to smoke the baby face when he colicky. Some marijuana soothe his stomach and put him to sleep and allow him to process the gas and burp or fart, whatever he gonna do. We was using all that stuff. CBDs, they was taking CBDs out because they was using it in pain creams. All that was before they had Big Pharma.
Mm-hmm.
We was using all that stuff. So we probably was just growing it like it wasn't illegal, but it been illegal since the 1920s.
Thank you.
Johnstone, we have you back, and then after you ask your question, he answer. If y'all can remember to drop down, because we have people waiting in the back. All right. So Johnstone, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all for having me on. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, you're coming in
Oh,
clear.
oh,
Yes,
okay.
we
Yes, sir. Okay, man. I was just going to Rod with this. I'm suggesting to all our people with this new technology. It's not really new, but with this like Chat GPT and all this stuff, all us so-called spiritual people and tribal people should be using this to our benefit right now by posing the right questions to it, not using it as a form of entertainment, actually using it as a tool to help us get everything we need back right now. I was able to through Chat GPT, or it's not. There's other forms where I'm paying $20 a month, and it gives you, it lets you use all of the different AI generated whatever's. I was able to have them pay for my mortgage. I mean, it's in other words, this tool is being laid on our lap right now, and if we utilize it the right way, we can have it working for us to make the contracts that are needed. You know what I mean? And get things passed through that we need, because I'm already doing it at a small level um, when it comes to the things that are of necessity. So, like I'm just saying is, what are your thoughts on the technology right now and how we're using it? Because it's great. If we use it the right way, we should be able to get back everything that we say we want. You know, we want our land, we want all this back. If we utilize this technology, because they then gave it to us. I mean, not gave it to us, but it's here for us to use if we use it the right way. Um, we just need to start posing these right questions to the platforms and having it start creating contracts and this and that, the other things. I was able to utilize it in a number of fashions, and I'm seeing how it is beneficial. It's beneficial for you to get into business. It's beneficial for minorities to get grant money. Grant money you ain't got to pay back, just simply by having the tool create the grant proposals that you need for whatever whatever you're trying to go and do, because they got so much money set aside for us, but we're not going to grab it because we don't have the money, or we don't think we have the money to pay for the person, to the grant writer. Well, now you do. You have the AI generated technology. If you use it the right way, we can start pulling some strings and start getting things back that's ours, and you can be at home all day, just left and right, left and you ain't got to go to work, left and right, all the things we need. Just have that damn Chat GPT, whatever you want to call it, working all overtime for all the things we requesting, and then before you know it, you'll have a pamphlet, you'll have a whole flyer, a whole list of uh in not applications, but contracts already written that you maybe just have to modify. This is I think it is the time now. All this stuff is here for us to grab. We just got to go grab it. What do you think about the technology, Rod?
well, you gotta remember, we coming from the age of believing, going into the age of knowing. We going from an artificially induced iron age into a deliberately worked on golden age that was being worked on by the ancestors to come out of that iron age. It was a series of conjure spells over a period of time that cut off the man to go through the darkness to recover the memories and the age of knowing. There's a lot of ways to use Chat GPT. You have people now that's using it to pull up the true history of the paper genocided clans in the Americas, and they telling them exactly who we are. And they recording it and putting it on TikTok and putting it on Instagram. That's called public notice. In the oral tradition, as long as it's the time stamped archival format, it's the principle. Right? Soon as we catch on, everybody's not computer savvy, but the ones that are can use it to their advantage. Because the ones who are savvy, like yourself, on how to use ChatGPT can have a different problem that you pose in the ChatGPT to teach the people how to use the ChatGPT to its best, right? Because there's nobody already teaching it. That means it's a need. You got a desire. The need and the desire points to a purpose. The requirement of the masses and the benefit, they'll tell you if there's an honorable purpose. If it can benefit more than it's going to hurt, and if it ain't going to hurt nothing, that's called a righteous pursuit when you have no casualties.
Yeah, that was a question. He had. Mama Draco, what's up?
How you doing, Dots? Big Mama.
Hey,
Peace.
First Adobe Sergeant. What's going on, man? Yeah, I had a quick question. It's a little sidebar question, but I wanted to ask how you feel about I talked about this with somebody else, a few other people, but I wanted to get your opinion on how you feel about the Into Africa theory.
I'm not familiar with the end to Africa theory. You have to give me like some background on who's discussing this. But I do know that we populated Africa. I know that.
See, that's what that's what I'm saying. Okay. One more question, and I'm gonna get out the way. I'm gonna change it up. When I look at whenever I try to look, Angola was the first slave owner on American soil. How is that possible?
Listen,
Or is that even true?
all of those what we call dirty Moors. They came over with slaves. They came from Europe with slaves. They came from what was known at the time Al Maghrib. Today,